Mm.
Hi, this is Paul Palmer, and
Natasha Todorovic Cowan. How are you doing today, Paul? If you look really busy there with your team.
yeah, I am. Um, I'm good, thank you. I thought we'd talk about working together and a bit of collaboration. Um, about how you can see the team when they're working together around a table. That's fine, but with everybody being remote and everybody being maybe sometimes they're on Microsoft Teams and you can pop in and out to each other, but in general, this working from home thing has made people struggle a bit to work together to collaborate on activities, and it affects the output, it affects the productivity. Now I've found that I have to have scheduled meetings with the people that I'm working with in the pharmaceutical companies, because if I don't, things can like just drag on and get left, and not realize that something should have been done by a certain date because you've not had the interface, the interaction, and there's no alternative. One particular company I work with, the the leader of the team used to have fortnightly meetings, but now that he's left, no, it's not happening. But the
Mhm.
team is used to having the input from the QA manager.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Yeah.
And
So
everybody's asking questions.
they're feeling a little bit lost and they're feeling a little disoriented. And the productivity that folks are expecting is probably not going to happen in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I found a couple of things. One is I've been doing remote learning and training and work for like a decade. And the dynamics that I've seen in the virtual space replicate in the physical space. So if people don't really communicate very often, they're not going to communicate very often in the physical space and not the right things. And collaboration is a big thing to get people on the same page working together. Um, Remote working is great when you don't want to be interrupted, when you've got a piece of work that you can do and you need minimal back and forth with others.
Mhm.
But if you need to be creative, if you need to brainstorm, if you need to connect with other minds and brains and bodies doing the work, bringing them together is a must. And in that, you've got to pay attention to who is relating to whom and how, and where some of the friction points are. I've developed a 12-point collaboration sort of measure with touchstones that organizations need to master to get collaboration working. And one of our tools tells folks, are you more we oriented? Or are you more I oriented? The folks who are more I oriented get the work done on their own, but it's harder for them to collaborate. And the folks who are more we oriented are really great when they're in groups getting stuff done. They look for signals and signs from other people. But when they're alone, they get more disoriented. So knowing where the individual team members are, how they work, and how they work together are the pieces that you want to figure out to ensure that you've got productivity, at least from that human system perspective.
Mm. I've noticed with one particular group that I work with, one particular team, the when we first went into lockdown, the productivity was really high. And it's like you were saying, the individuals were doing their individual activities. But when it came to project work, they just stopped. There wasn't any. And I think it's like you were saying, that the lack of communication. Now, it's recovered now because the dynamics changed, the way that we're working has changed, the process have changed, the updates, I suppose, between the team members is now more. I'm not so sure that it's more fluid. It's more get if you want to talk to somebody, just get on a call and do it, rather than before it was, oh, wait for the next meeting to bring it up. But there would
Yeah,
have been the interface in between times when you were in one office to just say, oh yes, and so this is going on, and what I'm doing this. Well,
yeah,
now with the lack of personal contact, we've got the Teams, Microsoft Teams. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention that. Teams is set up there to interface with each other.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
but if you
also,
can't use it, which people were just not in the habit of picking it up and just talking.
yeah, and that goes to what we were talking about on our productivity conversation. What are productivity tools that you're using to connect and communicate? I've got one group that I'm working with, and they want to work on Slack. I've got another group that is working on WhatsApp. I've got another group that, we're working on Messenger, right? So each group works in different ways with different tools.
Yeah.
And I find myself scrambling. It's like, which client is doing which thing, what project, what team?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, because I'm in the same position. Because I have different clients that want to work in different ways, and they've all got their SOPs written down. But when I think about, well, what am I doing next with that particular person? I have to think about what systems I'm working through. How do I know that it's ready or not ready to do, to be able to move it forward? And
And
sometimes it just gets
yeah,
really confusing.
right. And we used to have this sort of reaction of, oh my gosh, I need to wait until they're not busy to call them, right? And we're pulling some of that in as well into this digital space. And it really is much more nuanced about how we get to know people and their preferences in communicating and their timing for stuff. So that takes a lot more openness and transparency and really clarity on how you work so you can communicate it to others, and figuring out how others work so you can get on the same page more quickly.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting I don't know if it's a paradox, but I think there were a lot of people considering moving to remote working, and having been forced to do it, they've now got into a position where they've got to make the systems work,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
found out where things break down and had to fix the problems.
Yeah. Well, I think remote work is here to stay. I think it's been super successful in a lot of ways, and surprisingly so. I think it's opened up geographic boundaries and kind of crushed those. And there are still things that work much more effectively when you're heart to heart, face to face, ear to mouth, so to speak. And we just need to get better at working out the pieces of what makes us more productive and what makes us enjoy work so that we are more productive, and what each individual needs to more effectively collaborate. And we are
communicate.
and communication is core to that. And so many people are messing up the communication piece, but we can do that on the next episode.
Cool. Okay, let's leave it there then. I'll talk to you soon, Natasha. It's Paul Palmer and
Natasha Todorovic Cowan signing out. Have a good one.
talk to you soon.